it's Mo. Today I wanted to talk about the best and worst book covers of 2021. My favorite covers and my least favorite covers. Let's first start with my most disappointing covers, my least favorite, or the worst covers. The first book I want to talk about is Dawn by Octavia E. Butler. I really loved this sci-fi all about a climate crisis, destroyed Earth, and the aftermath of that when one woman is chosen to help repopulate the future Earth. This was such a great sci-fi and of course written by a Black author. So why is this cover two white women, one of them nude, one of them in a jumpsuit? I think that this cover really just doesn't do justice to a really good book. Next, let's talk about Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. This is a story about a young woman who works in a convenience store and her quest to keep her simple and measured life. Overall, I don't think this is a bad cover in general. I just think for this book, it's not very interesting or exciting and doesn't really signify or portray the complexities of this story. I do like the naked hardback. It is pretty cute. Third on my list is The Private Patient by P.D. James. This is the last of the Adam Dalgliesh mysteries and it takes place in a private hospital. There is some rubber gloves involved, I'm sure, but I think that this cover could have been a little more inventive. I do love the large author picture on the back of P.D. James. She's just pretty adorable, but overall I think that this is a very lackluster and boring cover for the last of her famous detective series. Also, there's something weird about the spacing and the size of the fonts in the title that is off-putting to me. Next we have Colson Whitehead's The Nickel Boys. This is a really beautiful and poignant novel about a young boy wrongly accused and imprisoned in a Reformation school in Florida. This is just a lazy cover. I mean, come on. Two young boys, sure, but like the splash of red and overly big author name just doesn't work for me. Here we have my most hated, my least favorite, the worst cover of all the books that I read in 2021, and that is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This was my favorite romance that I read in 2021, and it's about two people who meet at a Renaissance fair and initially don't get along. You can tell that from the cover by the fact that he is wearing a small sword and she is wearing a flower garland on her head. They're obviously at odds against each other because he is giving her the talk to the hand symbol, which totally disportrays their two characters. Costuming is very inaccurate, especially since the costuming is talked about a lot in the book. The description of the two people isn't as accurate as I would like, and everything else about this cover is just so cringy and like it was the first draft or the sketch of the actual cover. I also hate the hand-drawn font, which just seems like an afterthought. But now on to my favorite covers of 2021. The first one is one of my least favorite books, The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. This is a closed-door mystery which takes place on a boat. The cover very accurately portrays the isolated nature of the story and the stormy weather, the upsetting, unsettling environment, and it's got shiny rain on the cover. It's so pretty and cool. I like that this is almost a cross between a photo and an illustration. I really like the very simple font and that the title is much larger than the author's name. I could do without the little New York Times bestseller sticker. I think that detracts from the cover, but overall I think this is a very captivating, interesting cover and done really well. I did not feel that way about the book, unfortunately. My fourth favorite cover is Leave the World Behind by Ruman Alam. This is a story about a family who takes a vacation and becomes isolated during a potential catastrophe. Again, I really think the cover shows that isolated nature, the still swimming pool, the calm waters, but almost an eerie silence is felt through the cover illustration. The water being perfectly still, the tangle of trees, all leads you to feel that isolated, scary kind of feeling. It seems from the cover like it's going to be a tense read, and it definitely was a tense read. I also really love the font. Again, very simple, larger than the author's name, and I like that they used multiple different colors. My third favorite cover is this sweet little mass market paperback of And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is another isolated mystery, and it takes place on an island. On the cover, we see the island. There's a few trees, a little bit of smoke, and it's all passing behind the moon. But the island itself has a face, has a personality, and you wonder right away from looking at the picture what is going on this very small, isolated island. I love mass market paperbacks, and this is such a good one. A lot of the Christie books that I have are really great covers, and usually they depict at least one or two parts of the actual story, which is so fun. Coming in for number 2 of my favorite covers of the books that I read in 2021 is All the Birds Singing by Evie Wyld. This is a story that takes place in 2 timelines, one in the current time and one in the past, but the past storyline moves backwards. So this is a very fractured story, and on the cover the illustration is fractured. It is broken up into pieces. It depicts violence and anger in the dog's snarling face, but then a calm repose, a small farmhouse, the soft fur of a sheep, and grasses around the animal. So you can tell right from the cover that this is going to be a story that has multiple aspects. I like that the illustration is a soft colored pencil style picture and the way that the author's name and title are displayed. My favorite cover of all the books that I read in 2021 was a tough one to choose, but I think it's going to go to The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. This is the story of an old fisherman who is down on his luck, a voyage, an expedition he goes to find one last fish. You can tell maybe that I love the plain and simple font. All the covers that I've chose have this really blocky, easy, beautiful font. And I also like the very simple, sketchy watercolor picture of a village, the sea expanding out beyond the boats and houses. I like that it gives you a feeling of isolation, of loneliness, and of expanse just by the way that the sea leads off into the distance. I love the color choices and that the title is larger than the author's name. What was your favorite cover out of the books that you read in 2021? Let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!